Alright boys, welcome back. So Valkyrie Armor Noelle is dropping tonight on Global, or when you watch this video, she's already out. Today we're going to be doing a quick run through, going over her best teams, her best gear, and what you'll be doing with the character. And this time around, it's going to be quite interesting as she is the first light type, first harmony color into Black Law Mobile. And the way she is being worded and the way you want to be using the character is you don't really want to be bringing other defenders, which is a massive restriction, but also definitely a smarter choice when it comes towards the meta, because you're not being forced to run with, of course, Black Asta or even Mereoleona, because that would be way too far oppressive. And also her being a different color means they can't work in those actual like monocolor teams that get super mega buffed for using all one color, where she's going to kind of form her own team and of course be a massive big DPS despite her being a defender. Okay, so I want to start off with duplicates because that is the biggest thing right now. Thankfully, I would say out of like every single festival carry we've gotten so far, this is by far the most free-to-play friendly one, because while you still want to get a maxed out and, you know, like your skill page and max dupes, you can actually get away with using her at such a low dupe level and even a free-to-play skill page. Because if you look at like Yuna, for example, the character like, you know, 2-star awakening towards 5-star awakening with 5-star skill page, it's a different character. Mereoleona, 5-star dupe is required of anything, and of course her skill page is like a little bit of a cherry on top a little bit to make her an actual DPS character. Where Noelle, you don't need too much investment, although you still want to do it. It's just, you know, something you can work on progressively as the game's going on, but nothing you have to like stress about right now, which was definitely the case with, of course, Yuna and of course Mereoleona. So let's start with her stats quickly, because you all obviously haven't seen this before because it's not out right now in Global. But if we max it out here, so each dupe you get, wow, you are going to get your awakening. We'll go through that in a second, but they showed a progression of what you get for each dupe. The main thing is more defense, a lot more magic attack, which is super important because remember, she is a DPS, and then also some more critical resistance. So we go upwards to like, you know, 0-star, you can see 8.4, and we're going to go up to like 10.9, so around 2.5k difference there in terms of actual, you know, magic attack. Massive when it comes to her being DPS. So while you don't need to get to 5-star for her to get like a DPS awakened passive, all you're going to simply get is basically more speed and a way to start the battle, which I'll show in a second. But you are going to get a lot more magic attack, which is something I do want to stress, because that's just going to make her a better DPS. All right, so we zoom into her awakened passive. So when you get towards 2-star, what you're going to get is, if there is only a single defender in your team, grant yourself taunt removal. So once again, leading down that road of her being the only defender, so you do not want to bring Black Asta, you do not want to bring a Mereoleona, because if you're not going to be able to get that taunt removal, then her skill 2 is actually not going to work. And that's by far the most key part about Noelle, is getting that tier 2 of every single 3 turns. And then moving down towards the 5-star awakening, it's the exact same, but what you're going to get is at the start of the battle, you're going to grant yourself 5% increase in mobility or stamina, and of course get a little bit of a speed buff, so you can always basically start off first and get that buff on, so you don't have to worry about like a mono red with Finral buffing up and kind of wiping out your whole team with Black Asta. I think she literally does become the fastest character in the game. So like I said, when you read this, you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, well, it's not really going to make her a big DPS. Sure, you're going to get more ways to make her more usable, like starting first and of course getting the taunt removal so you don't get taunted, but I guess you could arguably play around it a little bit. And that's kind of why I wanted to show the actual, you know, full awakening of the character, because getting that 2.5k magic attack does make a difference, and it does in turn make her a better DPS. All right, so when it comes towards gear, boys, it is pretty simple if you've already got Mereoleona gear made up, because literally Mereoleona is a defender and she scales and wants to be a, you know, actual tank character. So simply put, boys, when Noelle comes out, just do a little quick swap and boom, you got your best gear basically, right? Now, I will say my magic attack for my Mereoleona is quite low. I'll probably end up personally using my own Yuna gear, which has got like, you know, 57k magic attack. That's going to be kind of good for my actual Noelle. It was again, it also has the same gear set. It's just standard attack, defense, and of course, speed. But when it comes towards your accessories, of course, this is where your account kind of comes into play, right? Because this is where if you have like the magic attacks accessory, which is such like a pay to win thing in the game, you'd be chilling. But unfortunately, of course, right now I of course don't have it. But they are starting to give out, I would say, the more actual, you know, subs that changes. You can see right now I've got 7. Wow, it's crazy. But you know, just trying to get any bit of magic attack, maybe a bit more crit rate, would help out Valkyrie Armor Noelle so much more. Also, I do want to show you this, but you are going to get a increased critical resistance. I believe it's like 18 to 20%, which is like not crazy. So I mean, right now, I think that's probably the thing I'm lacking the most on my gear, at least from Leona. It's a bit better on my gear, so, you know, just you can kind of add like 20% onto it to make it a bit more better, because once again, just what you're going to get in the buff. So, when it comes towards, yeah, her actual like, substats for the gear, you definitely want to go towards, you know, more crit chance, because she, once again, remember, she is a DPS character. To be fair, I'm still rerolling my gear, because you can see we got like some good substats here, but, you know, terrible 2 there. Right here as well, 2 good substats, terrible ones here. But yeah, to be fair, the big end game of Black Clover Mobile is simply just getting, you know, the best gear possible, getting the best substats. And yeah, that is kind of what you want to go towards. I would use the basic attack, defense, and speed set, and then lean a bit more into critical resistance and a bit more crit rate and crit damage too. That's by far probably the most important thing. All right, so when it comes towards talents, it is pretty simple. You want to go towards magic attack and of course critical rate increase. When it comes towards your defensive substats, you want to go towards of course defense and of course the grunt defense and critical resistance. And your support ones can kind of be whatever you're using. We'll go through the team builds in a minute, but like I sort of plan a little bit, and to be fair, if you build it up properly to where you have more critical resistance in a way, then blocking damage, once again, just getting debuff immunity is just so good for Noelle and characters in general. Remember, she already has taunt removal, so getting taunt removal, stun immunity, and also debuff immunity, you have like the full trio, the holy trinity of like nothing stopping you basically. So that's something I love, because there are characters out there like Zoro, for example, that can lower your magic attack, your SP as well. So getting that debuff immunity is just generally so good, right? And then why not get a bit more DPS with accuracy and penetration? So that's kind of be my little go-to for my talents. Now, obviously, the actual like, you know, legendary Carstone slots you can put onto. You kind of use what you have, you know, like defense, you know, speed, and of course your attack when you want to have magic attack. And something I haven't really spoke about is that you can trade these up now. If you go towards gray, you can like select these options now, and you can get like these things, for example, that can actually buff up your characters even more. And of course, right here, the crazy like paid to win stuff. If you trade in like your free attack and magic ones, you can then get the upgraded one, which are going to be the exact same thing, but you're now going to get more substats, which I need to start doing. Like right now, I can trade in my 5 terrible 2+ speed ones to get a level 3 speed one, which is obviously very, very good. And you can kind of do that for magic attacks. How much I got right now? So yeah, I'm missing one of these. So just look in your box, make sure to go to this one and see if you can actually make any. I think right now, too, I can make one soon and then buy one as well. And I can probably get like the legendary one and get the whatever I can get as well. So just bear in mind, this is a new feature that I haven't really spoke about, and it's something that's going to make your account and your characters a lot better too. Okay, so with Valkyrie Armor Noelle, when it comes to us team building, it's a lot different in comparison towards the last few characters. And of course, the passive does say you cannot, or you don't want to use actual defenders. You still can. You just won't make Noelle a DPS, because then she's losing a lot of damage dealt, right? So you could still like use Noelle just to buff up and use on other teams, but it's probably not the most optimal thing. And we kind of want her to be a DPS character. So I don't really want to dive too deep into what you can use with other defenders, but essentially you're banning these characters. You can't use Merlion or Black Asta, which is so you're not going to rely this team, I think, right? Like Noelle, if she could work with these characters, probably would have fit quite well into this slot right here. So I do want to shed the light on 2 other characters, that being Vanessa and also Real, because these 2 explicitly do say they buff up defenders, and to be fair, their main role a little bit was to buff up Black Asta, while Vanessa was meant to buff up Merliona. However, you can still use these characters to buff up Noelle. So we look at Real's kit, for example. You can see right now that once again he has the passive where he does get more speed if all allies are red. Not going to matter too much, right? Is the fact that if you use a single target skill, you're going to get that mobility increase towards Noelle, which is huge. The AoE skill, reduce damage taken, I mean, granted, she does that herself, but it's not too bad. And B, you can buff up the mobility again off like another character, which goes up towards 100%, right? So you get another ton, which is going to go towards Noelle. So you can, like, once again, be one of the best supports for Noelle, just giving her more turns, giving her more DPS. And the same goes for the actual Vanessa as well, which is the one I'm looking forward to using a little bit, because I really do like this character. Once again, give him more SP, assuming Noelle has the highest attack in the game. That's going to be really good. Given the Blessing of Protection. I don't have a skill page, unfortunately. I'm really hoping I get it when summoning. But if you do, you are going to get the total defense, which is going to go to what I was saying earlier, where you can reliably trigger, you know, total defense, the block. So you do get that debuff immunity, so the resolution talent can actually work. And then obviously you can put that onto like generally every character, or of course Noelle as well, where you can make them invulnerable for 2 turns. Her passive is not going to work, because you're not using full greens. But if you get to Awaken to like 2-star, for example, which is what I have right now, at the start of turn, you're going to grant a 50% increase in mobility and a speed buff towards an allied defender. Doesn't say any color. So just starting, boom, Noelle's going to get more turns. So that is the two like characters I'm really going to enjoy using with, of course, Noelle. It's just because you're going to get more turns in. And a little cherry on top, if you actually get Vanessa towards 5-star, she dies, then you're going to get 8 SP buff, so you can recycle ultimates again with the characters. Could be really, really good. And one dupe away, so I'm really hoping I can pull her because I don't want to spend a dupe. All right, let's run through the best characters. So, of course, by far the best supporter and the best character you want to bring, of course, is going to be the Seasonal Charlotte, which is yet to have a rerun. So, expect that sometime in the future that somebody really needs to return because she's a must-have right now. And yeah, you don't know what she does. Boom, more SP, debuff immunity, stun immunity, reduce cooldown for herself, get the free SP buff, and of course, get this buff to your defense penetration. And of course, the passive, you're going to get the barrier too. So, Charlotte and Noelle, just give me a go-to combo. You know, it's another character we were saying for a long time now that works really well with Noelle, since he is one of the only other festivals in the game that actually isn't a defender. So, of course, you don't know how, works. Bear in mind, if you're using him, you want to have him fully maxed out, fully duped as well, because you really, since you've not got like the full mono green synergy, you are missing out on obviously, getting the SP buff. But then again, Noelle is giving you 2 every turn. Charlotte can give you 3. And to be fair, you can even throw Mosa. You can just basically like make a kind of a sub or replacing the actual Mereoleona on the actual mono green team, and use this till 14, for example. I think Julius might be what's get a little bit more usable in a way, just because he has got the time stop ability, which is the only ability in the game, that can kind of counter Noelle, because Noelle, the only counter buffer is to taunt them, but Noelle has taunt remove. So applying time stop to where you reduce the cooldown by 1 can make you win a game sometimes. He does do a lot of stuff like reducing the mobility, but granted, I assume most of them are going to have the block damage on or the block resolution. So they might get debuff immunity, so it might not be the greatest, but it can still be good to kind of somewhat control Noelle if your Julius is fully built out a little bit. Yeah, so kind of scrolling through the box, there aren't, like I said, that many characters. Granted, there's going to be Grey and more characters coming out in the future that might be, like Funeral might be with the buffer up like crazy. Zora's coming out, which kind of counts a little bit, but you can kind of just run both together anyway, so it's nothing crazy. Lois will probably work as well with a debuffer that can give you increased damage dealt with the actual, with the incapacitate, of course, removing buffs. That's kind of the biggest thing, right, is removing buffs. So that's why Lois is going to be kind of a lot better. Also, row 2, the classic one, the green one, having a chance to remove 2 actual buffs is also going to be very, very good too, because, I mean, if you've been playing PP, you've seen this guy a little bit. He kind of count as the actual green Charlotte, so he's kind of doing the same thing still. Looking through, Gauche, to be fair, does buff up all attack and gives you a bunch of damage and stuff, so that could be alright. Plus you do get it's damage taken, I think it is. Reduced damage taken, which to be fair, Noelle and also Charlotte's already doing that. But hey, immune to continuous damage while this effect is active. Give me a good counter toward Mereoleona if you're finding more characters. Oh, so to be fair, I think they are buffing the actual poison, bleed. Burn's obviously already good, so the buff like poison and bleed and shock. So yeah, this might actually be good. And yeah, I think there's like the only other characters I kind of use there. So yeah, that's kind of Noelle for our team building. Definitely gonna do some testing, but I'll probably end up running this team because I just like the characters. And yeah, Vanessa's just so fun to play around with. Okay, so when it comes to our skill pages and leveling up actual skills, it's pretty simple. You want to level up almost everything essentially, because the skill 1 is going to be a DPS skill. So yes, leveling up is actually important. The skill 2, granted, all in Korea right now, but if I pull up the actual, database here, you can see that, yeah, magic attack, you're going to get more damage increase. Skill 2, you can see, is going to actually give more reduced damage taken, upwards to 20%, so you can get 50%. Very, very good. Ultimate, more damage increase. Combined attack, you don't need to upgrade because it's not like a damage skill. You're going to give invulnerability, which can be helpful, but you don't really care about it doing damage because you're not going to damage increase, and it's not really applying off a passive a little bit. So you do want to level all 3 of them up. However, the most important thing, and the reason why Noelle is so unique a little bit, is she's the first character ever, I would say, in Black Clover Mobile to have 2 actual skill pages. One being free to play, which is the one you see right here actually, because I actually got unlucky and never pulled the actual paid one. And yeah, of course, she does have the regular one, which you can see right here, the Steel Princess, which is going to be, as you can see right here, if Sea Dragon Spears present on self upon attacking, there's a chance, your 100% chance to inflict taunt onto a random enemy for 1 turn. Only 2 times though, so it's not something that's going to keep on constantly proccing throughout the battle or throughout the course of the match, but it's also still very, very good to get taunt onto enemies so they attack into her, because if you read a passive, of course, you know, when she does get targeted by the characters, she is going to get the actual Sea Dragon Spear, which means she can do more damage. So you want to be attacked, basically. Now, that being said, she is a character that, you know, is going to get targeted a lot in regular PvP because bots typically like to attack the defenders. But when it comes to a live PvP and, you know, the actual, you know, real player versus player, people have agency on what they can actually attack, and people are going to know not to attack into a Noelle unless you can guarantee killer. So having a taunt is going to be very, very good, but it's not like a crazy broken skill page to where, but bear in mind, like, it's only 2 times, so having a chance, 100% chance, doesn't necessarily matter too much because, well, it's most likely going to proc at one point in the game, and it can only happen twice in a match, if I'm reading that properly. So it's not a skill page you need to fully max out. If you get it, sure, that's great. You want to use it, but it's not like how we had Marileona or Yuno, where you had to get it towards 5-star dupes for it to be usable. You can get this once, maybe get 2 dupes in there if you're lucky or something when you're summoning, and call it a day. But if you're like me, like I said, and you didn't get the actual skill page, can you use the free-to-play one? The answer is yes, but it's still kind of bad, right? All the buff does is an increase of obtaining Ewell by 1 to 10%, and of course you can't get Ewell in PvP, so it's basically a useless actual passive. But remember, boys, is that she actually does get the actual tier 2 buff, which is something that's going to really make the character a lot better. No matter what skill page you use, whether it's the free-to-play one or the pay-to-play one, it's still going to give you the same buff. And that's the most important thing, because it goes from 10% reduced damage taken to 30, and then also gaining the absolute area, which is going to give all your allies stun immunity and also 2 SP buff every single turn. So yeah, you really want to get a skill page for Noelle, and thankfully you can get this one for free. So if you are very unlucky, like I said, like how I was in JP, where I pulled the character twice, got a 2-star awakening, but I didn't get actually, you know, her skill page. But hey, that's kind of fine, because I can get away with using this one. It's not the one you want to use, of course. You still want to go towards the pay-to-play one, but it's not the end of the world, because at least you can still use the character, because if you didn't have the skill page, then unfortunately Noelle probably wouldn't be usable. So yeah, that is Noelle. Once again, we didn't really go too much in towards her skills. I assume you lot know what she does. We kind of broke down in my last video in the actual should you summon. Pretty straightforward character. I mean, you can kind of just read the skills on screen now. Like, it's just simple. And just, hey, more damage if you have your buffs on. Pretty simple. The main thing I really wanted to focus on, of course, was the actual passive that does restrict her from being used with, of course, Black Aston Marileona, which makes a massive difference. So yeah, boys, that's Valkyrie Armor Noelle. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully your Noelle is now one of the best in the game. Boys, thank you for watching. Good luck on your summons if you're someone which is beforehand, because I'm uploading a little bit earlier during the maintenance. I cannot wait to get my hands onto of course we have her in JP, but it's not my main account, and I really want to max her out on global and see what she can do. So boys, thank you for watching, and yeah.